Sansei, good afternoon. I'm Creeson Agecoutay. Welcome to APTN National News. This Thursday marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day and the launching of the Battle of Normandy. It was a bloody battle and a historic turning point in the Second World War. Ceremonies were being held across France, including Juno Beach, which was invaded by Canadian soldiers on this day 80 years ago. Here's Dennis Ward with more.
The morning ceremony started with a jump by the Canadian Armed Forces parachute team, the Skyhawks. The Skyhawks jumped out of a Hercules aircraft from 2,500 feet, deploying their Canadian flag canopies and landing on Juno Beach. Among the dignitaries on hand at the Canadian commemorative ceremony at Juno Beach were Prince William, Prime Minister Trudeau, the Prime Minister of France, and Assembly of First Nations National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenack. Several Indigenous elements were incorporated into the ceremony, including a flag song and victory song by a father-daughter duo from Agecoutay First Nation in Saskatchewan, who are members of the Cree Spirit Singers. Métis veteran and elder Josie Searson led the prayer. There was also First Nations representation during the reading of the Commitment to Remember. Here's some of what the Prime Minister had to say.
On this day, 80 years ago, Canadian troops progressed further inland than any of our allies. It was a remarkable achievement and a costly one, too. I can promise you that Canada and the world will keep commemorating this significant day for decades and generations to come.
Thank you, Dennis. A coalition of English junior colleges say a French language law on Indigenous students is risking their education and are demanding they be exempted. Maricela Amador reports.
I feel like it's being forced upon me, and it's putting my education at risk, and I don't think I could do it, so I'm making the choice to leave.
These testimonies are from Indigenous students from English junior colleges in Montreal.
There's so many people I know that don't want to study in Quebec because of Bill 96.
The students are expressing their concerns regarding the barriers imposed by the French language law, better known as Bill 96.
They're talking about preserving their languages, but what about ours?
It is part of a campaign launched by Quebec's 5 English colleges, which includes an open letter calling on the province to find solutions that will mitigate the impacts of the law. It is a last resort by the colleges.
Now I have to respect their language when they never respected mine.
Kim Martin is the Dean of Indigenous Education at John Abbott College.
Give Indigenous students a complete exemption from the 3 additional courses as well as the exam, and recognize the fact that our students have suffered such inequality for so long in the education system that we cannot be expected to adhere to this law.
In the letter, the colleges say the law creates multiple systemic and discriminatory obstacles while discouraging students from learning Indigenous languages.
There needs to be better communication, there needs to be better partnership, and there needs to be a better understanding of this government on what are the actual realities in not just French Indigenous communities, but English Indigenous communities also.
Students must meet eligibility criteria in order to be exempted from the French exit exam, required to graduate. But according to Martin, many don't even qualify because they lived off reserve during their studies. Moreover, the exemption is not even part of the law.
The ultimate response is for the government to sit down with Indigenous communities, Indigenous nations, and address the outstanding issues related to Law 14 or Bill 96. That's our prime objective here.
The colleges fear these requirements will discourage students from continuing post-secondary education in Quebec. Joandino Canadian is the coordinator of the First People Center at Dawson College.
I think the students are feeling really anxious, concerned, and unsure about their future here or in CEGEP in general.
However, the province responded by saying they will not be expanding any exemptions.
On est toujours en train de se buter à un mur.
Ghislain Picard, who heads the Assembly of First Nations Quebec and Labrador, or AFNQL, said the law is a total disrespect to Indigenous people.
We have our students from our different nations they're the ones that should be, speaking to this and also contributing to the political process at their own local levels, but as well at the regional level.
Last year, the AFNQL and the First Nation Education Council applied for a judicial review to challenge Bill 96. Maricela Amador, APTN National News, Montreal.
After taking 5 years, the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation is going to be part of an Indigenous Peoples Center in downtown Ottawa. The nation and federal government held a signing ceremony to announce the agreement on Wednesday evening. APTN's Fraser Needham has that story.
In the summer of 2019, Verna Paulson went more than a week without food or water to protest the fact the Algonquin Nation had been left out of a new Indigenous Peoples space in Ottawa's parliamentary precinct. This is what the former Grand Chief of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Tribal Council had to say this week.
It's about time. Actually, when I got the text from the ANTC, I was not surprised, but at the same time, it's about time that we actually going to have our dedicated space here in the national capital city on our unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation.
In 2017, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the former U.S. Embassy building at 100 Wellington would become a designated Indigenous space for the Assembly of First Nations, Métis National Council, and Inuit Tapiriit Kanatami. But the building is on unceded Algonquin territory, and some communities were upset at the lack of inclusion. Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Gary Anasandagri was unable to say why the Algonquins were initially left out or why it took 5 years to reach an agreement. But he did say it is time to move forward.
It's a reminder to us that, Canada needs to listen, right? Canada needs to be in tune and attentive to its failures, really, and to make sure that this, that there are no oversights such as this going forward. We do have a brilliant space, probably one of the most coveted space in the capital, to showcase and to celebrate the Algonquin people.
As part of the new agreement, the Algonquins have been given a vacant lot adjacent to the centre to build a structure of their liking. Current Tribal Council Grand Chief Savannah McGregor says it will take time to determine what this structure will be.
Well, we're going to communicate and go and do vision and exercise with all 11 of our communities of the Algonquin Nation, and really they're going to be driving the direction that they want to see, and what will be in the infill space. So, as I said earlier, we're just as curious as you are, but we're doing this wholeheartedly with all of our membership.
For her part, Paulson says she has no regrets about staging the hunger strike and would do it again.
So that's the kind of leader I was, and I'd never change. I would never change what I've did. But would I do it again? Absolutely, in a heartbeat. I may not be in a leadership role, but I'm always there for our people, regardless of leadership seat or not.
Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Thank you, Fraser. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. How students are helping with the need for housing in First Nation communities. That story when we return in about 3 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back. High school students from the Peel District School Board in Brampton, Ontario are putting their skills they've learned to good use to help address the housing shortage in First Nation communities. Here's Annette Francis with that story.
You don't want to see any of the floor showing at all, because then it's a pain to get the paint off.
17-year-old Hannah Alberton and her colleagues are putting the finishing touches on the tiny home they've built. It's part of the Specialist High Skills Major, or SHSM program. Alberton has been in the program for a year. She says this project has been a great learning experience.
Because I've had so much confidence within myself to build the frames, to get help with my classmates, and getting confidence from my teacher that also helped me. He believed in me. They believed in me. They let me do stuff at this house, and I'm just so grateful for them.
This is one of 5 homes being built for the Chippewas and Nawash First Nation. It's the result of a partnership between the Habitat for Humanity Halton, Mississauga and the Peel District School Board. According to Statistics Canada, the housing shortfall in First Nations communities means 1 in 5 First Nations people live in overcrowded homes. Peter Oliveira says over the past 3 years, his organization has collaborated with 3 different First Nation communities, and all have used their units differently.
So we've seen them use them for health services, mental health and addiction services, transitional housing, and short-term housing uses. And the units that we're designing and building are very flexible to the community's needs. So we're trying to develop units that are easy to build so that students can understand them, but then easy to use for the end users.
According to teacher Will Patterson, the hands-on course is a popular choice with students from his school, Brampton Centennial, and Judith Nyman Secondary.
A lot of them have an interest in the skilled trades, but they don't know exactly where to take that. And so this gives them an opportunity to experience the skilled trades at different levels. When you build a house, you're involved in many different trades. And so it gives them that exposure. It gives them a real sense of pride, particularly when the home gets shipped off to its community.
For Alberton, whose mom is from Moose Deer Point First Nation, it's surely something to be proud about.
This to happen, it's honestly amazing.
This home will be delivered to the Chippewas and Nawash sometime over the summer months. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Brampton, Ontario.
Thank you, Annette. About 100 Edmonton Oilers fans gathered at a rally hosted by superfan Magoo in Edmonton on Wednesday evening to celebrate the team reaching the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers. APTN's Chris Stewart was there and took in the festivities.
Let's go Oilers! Let's go Oilers!
The Belmont Sobeys in Edmonton's Ward Dene hosted a loud and family-friendly Oilers rally organized by superfan Magoo. After starting the NHL season with a poor record, a coaching change now has the team within the reach of the Stanley Cup. A Canadian team hasn't won the Cup since the Montreal Canadiens in 1993. And superfan Magoo says the American media saying the Panthers will win is providing more motivation for the team.
And here we are against Florida, and all the sports analysis counting us out again. We love that, man. Let's go, underdogs, let's go.
Free hot dogs, pop, and chocolate bars had a huge lineup. DJs and 3D scanning of fans helped make the event special. Nippy Esquayu says she remembers the last time a Canadian team won the Cup.
I remember being a little girl watching the Stanley Cup Finals with my dad, and I was just a little girl. So to see this come back to our city and just to see our city come alive again is such a beautiful thing.
Lillian Hine is a massive Oilers fan. She expects a tough series.
I think the Oilers are going to go all the way, and we're going to win the Stanley Cup. McDavid needs to bring it home, just like Wayne Gretzky did.
Casey Bird is excited for the opening puck drop.
I'm here to support superfan Magoo, and I'm here because everybody's going to be supporting Edmonton Oilers. It's all about the Oilers.
Superfan Magoo doesn't do game predictions, but had a thought on the most valuable player race.
As long as we win the Stanley Cup, our MVP is going to be the whole team, because there's no I in team. But if Skinner keeps playing the way he does and he wins the cup for us, there'll be 3 players that have a shot at it: McDavid, Draisaitl, or Skinner.
We want the cup! We want the cup! We want the cup! We want the cup!
A 50-vehicle convoy left the rally and drove around the city to spread the love the city has for their Edmonton Oilers. Game 1 is scheduled for Saturday evening. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
That's awesome. Go Oilers. For this year's Indigenous History Month in June, we asked for poetry submissions from our First Nation, Inuit and Métis viewers, and today we want to show you another submission. This poem is from D.A. Lockhart. He's an author of multiple collections of poetry. Here's his reading titled, Water Wolves Restless Stir Silt into the Stillness of Morning.
Water wolves restless stir silt into the stillness of morning. This land, these waters that touch it, they shelter itinerant shadows, Al. All waters shall inundate the land. Floods are inevitable, whether upon a turtle's back or upon an ocean sphere. We must know those bubbles of darkness shall one day glide against us. Today they are restless. Across the bay, the nation murmurs to outsiders that the waters know and trust only them. Treaty holders and land thieves and their apologists are the reason that the ancient ones return. For treaty, for the salvation of the earth from the worst monsters, Quenconcale lurk among shadow pools, hungry for those willing to prod at deeper waters, challenge the monsters who once stood in lieu of unnatural laws. They long for a Prince Edward before loyalists, before forests, drumlins, dunes, and winding parkways. They are the opening melody that will not leave, and the song of their flesh against the warming and spreading waters is the music that will not end, no matter that sound of speedboats, no matter the tourist traffic jams.
Thank you for that submission. Coming up next, a new Mi'kmaq author from the Boatletek First Nation in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, has a new book on the way. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. Over on the East Coast, St. John's 12, Charlottetown 16. Nujuak 12 with sun, Nain 7. Val d'Or 17, St. Jovite 18 with sun. Peterborough 18 with clouds, Toronto 19. Sioux Lookout 11, Timmins 24. Puckatawagan 8 with rain, Thompson 6. Winnipeg 18 sunny, Barons River sunny as well 13. Swift Current 14 with sun, Yorkton 17 with sun. La Ronge 5, Stony Rapids 4 with a little bit of rain. Fort Chipewyan 2 with rain, Fort McMurray 0 with snow. Lethbridge 25 with rain, Red Deer 13 with sun. Tofino 14, Vancouver 10 with sun. Smithers 6 with sun, Fort Nelson, partly cloudy 15. Beaver Creek 14, Mayo 9. Fort Simpson 7, Wati 5 with sun. Fort McPherson 11, Inuvik 14. Baker Lake 7, Chesterfield 2. Iqaluit 2, Igloolik -1. A new novel called Your Tears Are Not Enough follows 3 missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls fictional characters, the police investigation, and closure of the cases in Ceremony and Healing. Written by Mi'kmaq author Tanya Johnson, who was a support person at the MMIWG Testimonies in Sydney, Nova Scotia in 2019. She says she was inspired by spirit to write the book. The novel will be published in a couple of weeks, and there's already talks of a documentary series from it. I spoke with Tanya earlier. Welcome, Tanya. This is not your first book. You have already written a children's book. What led you to writing this one about MMIWG?
So this book came from spirit, actually. I had a dream, a reoccurring dream about this woman. Her name was Raven. And it was in a moment of sobriety that she came, and I had written 3 chapters down. And then I kind of put the book away and, you know, continued on with life, having drinks in the evening after work and such. And then I started a road to sobriety about 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in September, where I stopped drinking alcohol. And I picked up the book again in those 3 chapters, and I took a look at it, and I thought, wow, It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And then through Spirit, I continued to have these dreams. Once I would put the book down or forget about it, I would start to have those dreams again. And when I went to Cuba in June, it'll be a year actually, June yesterday, that I had traveled to Cuba, and I started to write, and I was able to push out probably about 10 new chapters, and then I sent them to a friend of mine who had read the original 3 and asked her, what do you think? And she's like, yeah, you got to keep writing.
Well, congratulations on your sobriety. It seems like you were meant to do this. What do you hope readers learn from this book?
Many things is what I hope that readers will learn from this. Is one, that our Indigenous people are not garbage and we can't be tossed away. And the work that needs to be done in Canada and Turtle Island, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do within our communities with you know, facing our addictions, facing you know, sobriety, and looking at the issues that lead our people down these roads, that put them in situations that are of no fault from their own, but 500 years plus of colonialism that has brought us to where our people are now. And the title of the book is Your Tears Are Not Enough. And that came to me later on after the 215 had come out, because what we do as society is we cry and we scream and we holler and we say, we're not going to do this and we're not going to deal with this anymore. And then we stop. So tears aren't enough. We need action. We need to do the work, and we need to work collectively. And that doesn't mean people taking our spaces. That means if you want to be an ally, to come in and help us with this. I've long said that Western models don't work when you apply our Indigenous teachings to it. We need to start with our Indigenous teachings first and then apply those Western concepts so that it works for our people. I want people to understand that it's just not residential schools that have affected us. It is 60 scoops. It has been, you know, children family services. It has been just the continuation of not allowing our people to speak, and the continuation of, you know, just to help us. You know, read this book and understand that there's so much more. And I'm not going to lie, the book is triggering. I had people, over 15 people from coast to coast to coast, that read this book while I was away, and they would get it as the chapters unfolded.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, Tanya. I thank you so much for talking to us today about your new book and the work of also that there's going to be a film down the road with this book as well. We're very happy about that. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And that's your midday newscast for June 7th. Happy Friday, everyone. Dennis Ward will be back again for your afternoon newscasts. From everyone here at APTN National News in Winnipeg, hi miigwech, masicho. Thank you for watching.